I love that you guys are tuning in. I have to say this. It means so much to me, but I actually want to get feedback from you. I always just start these podcasts, but would you like it better if maybe I had a more official open, like, you're listening to Everyone Talks to Liz. Thanks for joining me, or something like that? Let me know. I mean, you can tweet me at Liz Clayman. I would love to get your thoughts on that. Or do you want me to just do the California thing that I do, which is just start talking? And until I hear from you, I'm going for it. All my guests are inspirational. They don't get to be on if they're not. But few have made me stop and totally reassess my outlook on life, purpose, and showing gratitude. And that's what I think my guest will have all of you doing today. So get ready. Eric LeGrand was living the dream a lot of kids have growing up, playing football at a Division I university. At the age of 20, so he was a star defensive tackle at Rutgers. While making a tackle during a game against Army, he crashed right into the kickoff receiver, and then nothing. Blank. Unable to move on the field, they rushed him to the hospital and found that he had fractured cervical vertebrae and was pronounced paralyzed from the neck down. He could not breathe on his own, and he was put on a ventilator. His mom was told he would probably need to be on a ventilator for the rest of his life, would never move again, and would never regain sensation in his body. But they did not know who they were dealing with. Less than 40 days later, Eric said, "Take me off the ventilator. I need to learn how to breathe on my own." Oh, yeah. Real gutsy. A month after that, he lasted an hour breathing without the machine, and by January of that year, are you starting to get the picture? He was breathing on his own. But that is hardly the end of this, as I'm putting it, breathtakingly incredible story of resilience and, yes, success. Not only has this man hosted his own series streaming on Fox Sports called Mission Possible, he's a motivational speaker, and he just opened his first business, LeGrand Coffee House, in his hometown of Woodbridge, New Jersey. Oh, and by the way, he's regained some sensation in his body. Eric, welcome to Everyone Talks to Liz. I'm so psyched to talk to you.
Hey, Liz, thank you so much for having me on. I truly do appreciate it.
Oh, we're thrilled. By the way, you have the best smile. Oh, my gosh. Every picture I looked at, it literally lights up the world.
And I've been told I got a pretty nice smile, and that's just, I always say, what you see is what you get with me. I am who I am. No, I don't ever put on a front.
Jersey boy, born and raised?
Born and raised. Jersey strong, Jersey tough, Jersey grit, Jersey everything.
You know what? That will come full circle in this discussion because, a lot of people are pampered in their lives. Not Jersey guys, that is for sure. First, tell me, where are you right now? What's your schedule for a day like today?
A day like today is like I'll go over to the coffee shop in like the late morning, early afternoon after going through my morning process with my nurses. That takes about a 2.5 hour process every single morning that I have to go through just to get myself up out of bed, washed up, cleaned up, and into my wheelchair. It's not something that's easy every day. So it starts off every morning with a 2.5 hour process, but it allows me to get my day started after that. And I go over to the shop and, handle what I need to handle there, answer some emails, do some interviews, or come back home and be able to work on trying to grow the business and have different meetings and whatnot. So every day's a bit different for me, which I do enjoy, but it's my same morning routine every single day. That will always, be the same.
Take me back to 2010, Rutgers versus Army. Rutgers kicks off, Army receives, and you start running.
Yeah, running down the field to make a tackle. I was able to split the double team, which 2 guys came to block me right away, and I got right through them. So I knew it was going to be a big collision on the play. I was running down the field. I said, I'm going to use my shoulder on this play, not my head. And Malcolm Brown was the guy I made the tackle on. He was right there. And I went to put my head down, and my teammate got down there half a second before I did. And he tripped Malcolm up. And when Malcolm got tripped up, his body turned in the air, and the trajectory changed of where I was going to him. And in that time, I had my head down, which every football player knows if you're going to hit with your head. You have to see what you hit. You keep your head up. And unfortunately, mine was down, and I fractured my C3, C4 vertebrae right on the field.
You're on the field. Do you open your eyes after being, I guess, a black space for a minute, I would imagine?
It's actually crazy. I was fully coherent for the injury. When I hit the ground, I'll never forget not being able to breathe. And the last thing I felt was my heels hitting the ground after my body went stiff. for a second. And then my trainers come running out to me asking me, is it your head or your neck? And I said, I can't breathe. From there, they go, can you feel this? Can you feel that? And I said, I can't breathe. My head coach, Greg Schiano, comes running out, looks down at me, he says, E, you have to start praying right now. And that's exactly what I did. It was easily the scariest moment of my life.
They rushed you to the hospital. And how did the doctors tell you what your future would be and what went through your head?
I always said the people that were there those first few days of my injury, man, I give them so much credit because I was so highly medicated from the surgery and I don't remember much. And my mom, my teammate, and his mom were in the room and they told my mom, your son has fractured his C3, C4 vertebrae. He'll be paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of his life. He'll never walk again, never breathe on his own, and never be able to eat solid foods. And we're hoping he's strong enough to make it through this surgery. So imagine my mom as a parent, she was devastated, but the doctor was very blunt with her. And I didn't really find out until a few weeks, or probably a week or so later that the extent of my injury. I knew, it was pretty severe, but yeah, those were the beginning stages, but I don't remember much those first few days. But when I woke up on Wednesday, the energy around my room and the positivity, honestly, is what jump-started everything in my recovery.
Well, I was just going to ask you, at what point did you refuse or you became stubborn and refused to accept what they said the rest of your life would be like? I mean, where did that well of feistiness spring from?
I've always been that hard-nosed, tough kid that, I fight for everything that I want and I go out there and I earn it. I don't expect anything to be given to me. So I've always been like that. My faith had a big part in it, trusting God that I was in the right place at that right moment where I was supposed to be, even though my life was just flipped and turned upside down, keeping the faith. And then as I started to recover and I came off the ventilator 5 weeks later after they told me I'll never be able to breathe on my own again, that's when it really started to flip a switch. I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna recover as much as I can. I'm gonna control what I can control, and then everything else I'll leave in God's hands.
Well, okay, this amazes me because you were the one who told the doctors and nurses, "Take me off the ventilator, please." What did they think when you said that?
That respiratory therapist probably thought I was crazy, which I am, but I wasn't able to sleep on my own, and that was the hardest. But like that noise of that ventilator, like in my just that sound, just kept on doing that, and I'm like, I need to sleep. So I asked the therapist, "Could you take me off the ventilator so I could fall asleep?" And she said, "I'll take you off, but you're going to need to go back on probably after a minute or two." I was like, perfect amount of time to fall asleep. And I remember she took it off that night, and an hour and a half later, I was still breathing on my own. And she said, well, maybe you are ready to be weaned off of this. And that started the journey to me being able to breathe on my own again, fully dependent 2 weeks later.
You, when I'm hearing you speak, sound fluid and perfect. You're nowhere near a ventilator now, right? You're not on one anymore.
No, it was only those first 5 weeks of my injury. And then I did have a scare pneumonia last February where they put me on it for five days, but it was just because of the pneumonia and being able to control my breathing there. But other than that, yeah, I'm fully dependent breathing on my own and able to, just that's why I don't take anything for granted, because just being able to take a gasp of air on your own, I've been there when I couldn't. So I just have a newfound appreciation on life.
Oh my God. I mean, and this wasn't even the end of your successes. At what point did you say to them, I want to at least try to stand?
That started when I got to inpatient rehab at Kessler Institute in West Orange, New Jersey. And I'll never forget that first time they put me in a standing frame. Obviously, I'm not able to stand on my own, but they put you in a device where they can stand you up. And it was probably a few weeks into my inpatient rehab stint, and I get in the standing frame when they go to stand me up. And literally after 5 seconds, I was like, back down, because a lot of people don't realize with the spinal cord injuries, there's a lot of secondary complications, and blood pressure control is a huge issue that people deal with spinal cord injuries, especially the higher the level of the injury. So when you stand up, your muscles aren't contracting when you're paralyzed. So guess what? That blood is just dropping from your brain all the way down. And when I first stood up for the first time in that device, wow. It was just like, go back down, hurry up. And then you have to start working your way up to be able to tolerate it more and more.